Okay, so if you're sitting at your desk right now, you probably know that feeling, right? That little ache in your back, that stiffness in your neck. Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to untangle this whole modern desk dilemma and find some simple, really powerful ways to feel better in the spaces where we work.
So let's just kick things off with a number that, well, it might just blow your mind. The average American now sits for 9.5 hours every single day. Just think about that for a second. That is more time than most of us spend sleeping. It's an absolutely staggering amount of time to be still.
So, okay, we're sitting a lot. What's the big deal? You know, a sore back is the thing we all complain about. But the real consequences? They're happening deep inside our bodies, and they affect everything from our digestion to, well, let's just say you are going to be surprised by what comes next. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the problem and its really surprising risks. Then, we'll build our way out of it with a solid ergonomic foundation, tap into the power of simple movements, and finally, cover a foolproof way to make these healthy new habits actually stick.
All right, first up, let's be crystal clear about what we're actually up against here. This isn't just about feeling a little stiff at the end of the day. This is a legitimate health issue. And look, this isn't just me saying this. Experts are weighing in. Megan Markovsky, a physical therapist at a Harvard-affiliated hospital, flat out calls it a common and important health problem. I mean, that's a pretty clear signal that we all need to start taking this seriously.
So, what are those other aggravating conditions she mentioned? This is where things get really interesting. Let's move beyond the obvious back pain and dive into some territory that might genuinely shock you. This goes way, way beyond just your spine.
Okay, first up, and this one catches a lot of people off guard. Incontinence. Yes, really. See, when we slouch, it actually increases the pressure inside our abdomen. And that constant downward pressure pushes on the bladder, weakening the pelvic floor muscles that are supposed to be holding everything up. The next surprising issue is constipation. It turns out our posture matters everywhere, and I mean everywhere, even on the toilet. Slouching over can physically put a kink in your colon, making it much harder for things to, move along as they should. And finally, let's talk about heartburn. When you slump in your chair, especially right after a meal, you're literally compressing your stomach. This can force stomach acid back up where it doesn't belong, and that's what causes that awful burning feeling. Plus, it can even slow down your entire digestive system. All right, enough with the doom and gloom. Let's start talking about solutions. And the absolute first step, the bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about, is getting your workspace set up the right way. The big goal, the thing we're always aiming for with ergonomics, is to achieve what's called a neutral spine. Just picture it. It's this perfect alignment where your head is balanced right over your shoulders and your shoulders are lined up over your hips. That's the sweet spot. It's the position that puts the absolute least amount of strain on your body. So how do you get there? Well, it's actually a pretty simple 4-step checklist. Number 1. Adjust your chair so your knees are bent at about a 90-degree angle. 2. Get your monitor set so the very top of the screen is at eye level. No looking down. 3. Position your keyboard so your elbows are comfortably bent at 90 degrees. And 4. Make sure your feet are planted flat on the floor. Seriously, this little checklist will get you 90% of the way to an ideal setup. Now, when we talk about sit-stand options, you basically have 2 main choices. There's the full standing desk, which gives you one big, stable surface. That's great for perfect ergonomic alignment. Then you have standing desk converters, which sit on top of your current desk. They're cheaper, but they can force you to compromise on your monitor and keyboard height, and they can be a bit wobbly. So the bottom line? A converter is a good start for sure, but a full desk is often a much better long-term investment in your health. But here's the thing. Even the most perfectly ergonomic setup in the world has a fatal flaw if you stay glued to it all day. That brings us to the next critical layer of our solution, and it's so simple: movement. And here's a fantastic little tool that's so easy to remember: the 20-20-20 rule. It's incredibly simple. Every 20 minutes, just get up, walk about 20 feet away, and focus your eyes on something 20 feet in the distance. The goal isn't a workout. It's just to break that static posture and get your blood moving again. And this really gets to the absolute core of the issue. The physical therapist we heard from earlier, Megan Markovsky, she puts it perfectly. The enemy isn't sitting, and it isn't standing. The real enemy is staying in any single posture for hours at a time. Our bodies were just designed to move. And hey, movement doesn't have to mean a big trip to the gym. You can do a simple 2-minute routine right there at your desk. In fact, why not try it with me right now? A slow shoulder shrug, bringing them way up to your ears, hold it, and release. A gentle neck tilt from side to side. And a big overhead stretch. That's it. That's all it takes to press the reset button on your posture.
So now we have the knowledge, right? We know what to do. But let's be honest, the biggest challenge is making it all stick. So in our final section, we're going to look at how to turn these good intentions into automatic habits you don't even have to think about. The secret here is a really cool concept called habit stacking. Instead of trying to create a new habit out of thin air, which is really hard, you just attach the new habit to something you already do every single day without fail. You're basically hijacking your brain's existing wiring to your advantage.
Here's a perfect example of what that looks like in action. Vague wishes like, oh, I should try to stretch more. They almost never work. But a concrete plan like, after I hang up from a phone call, I will do a shoulder roll. Now that is powerful. The phone call becomes the trigger for the new habit. It makes it specific, it makes it actionable, and it makes it happen. You know, I absolutely love this quote from Dr. Richard O'Mell. It just sums up the single most important takeaway from all of this. It's not about sitting versus standing. It's about being static versus being dynamic. Don't obsess over finding that one perfect posture. Your best position is always your next one.
So let's bring it all home. This isn't about some massive life overhaul. It's about small, simple, consistent changes. So I'll leave you with this one question. What is the one small move you'll make today that's going to help you feel better at your desk tomorrow?